got everything set up, so we want to make sure our setup is correct. So we're going to hit setup. We're going to go into the equipment. We then are going to go to our Gator. We then are going to go to the pencil to go to the measurements. In our current setup, we're setting it up for a 30-foot implement to do mapping of the boundary. So for our GPS, we look at our numbers here. Our inline offset is our globe is 26 inches ahead of the back axle. The GPS height from the ground to the center of the globe is 82 inches. For the lateral offset, I'm using 150 inches. It's kind of a important number. What I'm doing is I tell it I have a 30-foot implement. So in this scenario, I say that my globe is left of the Gator, and then half of 30 foot is 180 inches. My globe is 30 inches from the edge of the machine, so therefore 180 minus 30 inches is 150 inches. So according to GPS, it thinks that the Gator is 15 feet into the field, which is exactly where the planter is going to drive. But our boundary is going to be right at the edge of the field, which is actually on the edge of my Gator. That way I can drive right on the edge of the field. I'm driving with my left tire next to the boundary. So therefore, I have the globe on the left side of the Gator, which actually pushes the Gator 150 inches into the right. Alright. The next thing we're going to look at, as I scroll down, my connection. We'll go into my connections. I'm mapping off of the front of the Gator, so I can look at everything in front of me, and I can make my corners square. It's much easier to operate. So on the front 3-point hitch, if I go into that, I am telling the system that from my back axle to my recording bar on the front is 106 inches, which is 8 feet 10. I can put that number in here. I can go in and put in 106 inches, and it will convert it to 8 feet 10. So I have a front 3-point hitch. I have all my measurements on my machine. We now want to go into our implement. I have it labeled as a Gator front boom. Now, when you scroll down here, you have to, if you look at all of our dimensions, I'm using 0 because everything is at the front. My 3-point hitch puts it right at the front of the Gator, so these do stay 0. In order to tell it that I have a 30-foot implement, I have to start with adding any operation. Then I can add my working width. So I have told it it's a 30-foot working width. My work point is not critical, but we do have to add something or it won't let us get out of the page. And then I tell it we are using a front 3-point hitch. So it knows that's what the connection type is. That's the setup of what I use for mapping. In this particular case, I have it set up as my product application is NH3, strictly just so that I can get my measurements in there. Okay. This then will bring me to my home page. I have found that a home page set up like this, if we choose client, farm, and field, if we choose a full center page of mapping, and then if we choose the guidance option for the right, actually set up a boundary and a guidance line at the same time. In this particular scenario, you will notice in the shortcuts bar, I have added a button that says boundaries. That is a quick shortcut to get there. So with everything being calibrated, TCM and everything, we're ready to go to the field and start mapping our boundaries. So as I map, here again, the left side of my machine is on the boundary. So I'm going around the field in a clockwise fashion. To get started, we will hit our Add a Boundary button. Our method will pop up. We want to create a driven boundary. We choose that, hit OK. Now we can give our boundary a name if we want, but you will notice our offset point is off of the implement. Remember, we have a 30-foot implement. We have an offset into the globe that makes the machine think it's 15 feet into the field. So therefore, our record point is 15 feet to the left of the center of the implement, which puts us right at the edge of the gator. Now, this picture, it shows it behind the gator. It's not a true representation. It is actually in front of the gator because I'm using the front bar. So we're ready. We're on the one side of the field ready to map a boundary. So when we get ready to get started, we're ready to go. And as I map, I have it marked in the front of my gator on that bar where corn row number 1 is. I'm going to be driving over corn rows number 1 and 2. That way the boundary is just to the left of that. So as we go to start recording, we get our recording exterior boundary page. If you come over and hit the X on that page, it brings you to our home page where we're going to be mapping. And one very important thing, our location now changes to recording and pause feature. This way we can pause and record our boundary, or we could jump over and do a guidance line. One thing very nice like this, if we hit pause, you'll notice right now it says it's red and recording. If we hit pause, it shows we are paused. It's very positive in telling us what is going on. So as we go to start recording, we now are going to take off, and you will notice it'll start painting the map, putting a pink line to the left of the gator. That line is going right through the gator. So as we roll forward, you will see it start to map. If I want to make a straight boundary here, I can hit pause, drive up a ways. You notice how the line is dashed. It's not being made. If I come right up to my corner of the field, I can put my front bar right on the edge of the field, and when I hit record, it snaps a line. Now I'm in the corner, so I can hit pause, and at this point I can turn right. I don't have to go back to the corner because we've already established the corner. I can be up 20 to 30 feet. I am now right where corn row number 1 needs to be, so I know where my boundary is. I will hit record. It snapped a square corner. Perfect. At this point, I will follow the edge of the field. Here again, if I want this to be perfectly straight, I will hit pause. And I will go a distance until, say it's going to curve. I will hit record. And then if there's a slight curve, I will follow the boundary and it will record on a curve. And then as I get back to our corner of the very next corner. Once I'm in the corner, my front of the Gator, the front bar, is perfectly in line with the boundary me wanting to turn right. I will stop, hit pause, and now I can back up and turn around and head the next direction. So here I am. I now am not in a tight corner. I'm out front. I'm lined up right at the edge of the field. I will hit record. I now have that corner locked in. I then can follow this boundary all the way around the edge of the field to get to where I need to be. If for any reason, let's say that there's a washout, I want the boundary to go straight, but I don't want the line to go straight, to go around, to drive around it, I can hit pause. Now I can drive wherever I want. And when I get back in line to the edge of the field, I can hit record and it snaps right through that bad spot. As I get to my very next corner, I pull up into the corner and stop when I am right in line with the next boundary. And as I pause, I will now turn and hit back up to my third side. Here again, lining yourself up with the edge of the field. Turn the record on. I just squared the corner. You will notice the pink line. It's kind of like a balloon. I'm expanding it as it comes around. So now as I come to my very last side, I am correcting that boundary. As you get closer to the end, and when you get up here, you will notice it almost looks like it's complete. So when you get to your 90 degree to your boundary, you may hit pause. Say this corner we have to back around. If this side is perfectly straight, you can actually save at this point. If there's anything else that you need to go around, you can. At this particular point, I've turned, I know my cornrow's in the right spot. I hit record, it will adjust. If there is a power line pole or anything in my way that I want my planter to farm around, in this case, I can swerve out, go around that obstruction, and then come back. It's constantly adjusting the boundary. By doing this, when you come by with the planter tractor will follow that curve so that you miss that pole. We have now completed a complete boundary around the field, so we will hit save. That boundary is now